Welcome to the comeback season, where we have real conversations about fueling your body, rebuilding strength, and stepping back into the life you were meant to live. Whether you've been caring for kids, aging parents, or just lost sight of your own needs, we see you. And this is your season to rise. Hello, my name is Nichole McLeod with Healthy Mind, Healthy Body. I'm a mindset and fitness coach and the author of I Started on a Tuesday. I know what it feels like to lose yourself in the chaos and still hold on to the hope that something better is coming.
And I'm Christi Kelsey from Christi Counts Macros, nutrition and mindset coach and food freedom advocate. I've worked with lots of women who felt stuck, restricted, and unsure where to even begin. Together, we're bringing you honest conversations, healing truths, and real strategies to help you rise again, physically, mentally, and emotionally, whether you've hit rock bottom or you're just tired of putting yourself last. This space is for you because this is your comeback season and it starts right now.
Welcome back to the comeback season. I'm Nichole McLeod, and today's episode is so close to my heart. Oh my goodness. So many women enter menopause feeling blindsided, like no one prepared them for the physical and the emotional changes this season brings. As someone who's passionate about helping women reconnect with their strength, I know how important it is to understand that your mind and your body are deeply connected and both deserve care during this transition.
And I'm Christi Kelsey, and I work with women who want to feel strong and energized and confident in their bodies again. Menopause is one of those seasons where everything can feel like it's shifting. How you eat, how you move, how you think. And today we're talking about how the right mindset, nutrition, and movement can make a big difference. Because even though your body is changing, that doesn't mean you've lost your power. You're just learning to use it in a new way. Our guest today is menopause expert Shazia Warsi. Shazia, welcome to the show. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what sparked your passion for helping your clients with menopause?
Hi, yeah, it's so great to be here. Yeah, I've been menopausal for about 7 years. And what I realized is that there isn't enough knowledge or education or support for menopausal women. And so, I started educating myself. And as a life coach, I realized how important mindset is for women to be able to navigate this whole new chapter. And, if you go through menopause in your like late 40s, early 50s, women are living so much longer. And you might have 30 or 40 years post-menopause. So, if you don't have help and support and knowledge about what your body's going through, then it's really difficult. So, I'm a NLP coach. I'm a certified success coach. I'm a menopause coaching specialist, and I do this amazing technique called RIM, which is regenerating images in memory. And I've just, doing all these certifications. I'm actually the happiest I've ever been at 57. And I really want to help women look at life after menopause with hope rather than with dread. Because menopause doesn't have to be a breakdown. It can be a breakthrough to the best, most authentic, meaningful part of your life. And I'm actually writing a book with that title, that menopause is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. Because what I've realized is that it's actually a way to come back to yourself, your authentic self. And yeah, I mean, the symptoms, yes, our body is changing, but it can also be an amazing, authentic, meaningful part of your life.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love that. This is such a, an important conversation. We've all heard about the hot flashes and the mood swings, but menopause can affect so much more of your life. And there might be things, if for our listeners, there might be things that are happening to you that you don't connect that with menopause, but it is menopause related. So let's get to the basics. What's really happening in a woman's body during menopause beyond just the obvious symptoms?
So you're officially in menopause after 12 months of not having a monthly period. That's when menopause starts. And menopause is actually just one day because it's that day after your 12 months of no period. And then everything after that is post-menopause. So your body, your ovaries stop producing estrogen. And estrogen is so important. There are estrogen receptors in every part of your body from top to bottom. So, your brain regulates like body temperature, memory, brain fog. So, all mood swings, like all these things are affected by lack of estrogen. Your cardiovascular system, your reproductive system, obviously. But your gut microbiome changes after menopause. Estrogen is anti-inflammatory. So after your estrogen decreases, inflammation goes up. So there are so many things that are happening in your body. People don't even realize that your shoulders have so many estrogen receptors. So frozen shoulder is a huge thing that happens to women after menopause. There are, UTIs, like women start getting recurrent UTIs. That's related to estrogen. And do you know that doctors get a few hours of menopausal training in medical school, in the whole of medical school? There's a few hours of menopause training. So most doctors just dismiss it. It's as anxiety. That's happened to me. Like my doctor kept saying, oh, I need therapy. I need to, I have anxiety. And I'm like, no, I'm not an anxious person. Like these things are real. And so the lack of these sex hormones affect like so many things, your sleep, your gut, your um, strength, your health, like mental health, so many things. So it's so much more than just, you're like not having these sex hormones anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how much estrogen affects our systems. And like you said, how the doctors and other healthcare providers don't have a lot of education in menopause. I kind of feel like it's shifting in some regard. I see people talking more about it on social media and stuff, and I think about, we're Gen Xers. We're raised by this generation of people who just didn't talk about things like that. And so I think we're sort of the first generation to be talking about this and being so open about it. And I think, when we understand what's happening, it really takes away that shame when we can talk about it as women and just say, this is a normal part of life. It's nothing to be ashamed about. Your body isn't broken. It's just adjusting. Nichole, what are your thoughts?
I was just feeling so incredibly validated, Jazia, when you were going through the list, because it's something we all feel, we all go through. Our memory starts to go, our muscles are just not feeling the same, the weakness. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is, well, first of all, we're in it together. So talking about it is very important. But as a trainer, this is something I try to talk to my clients about, that the amount of muscle mass that you have during this time absolutely changes how your body's going to respond during menopause. Muscle mass in this time is critical to make sure that your body is able to get through this with less symptoms. It really is important. And just that as an example, because obviously that's my expertise, but there are an array of other tips and tricks and things that we can educate ourselves on to really help with during these times. And Shazia, you said it too. Doctors just are not educated as much on it. And I'm not by any means saying I know more than a doctor, but going through my last 5 years of all these issues that I've had, Christy, we've talked about this. So many of the things that have helped me and solutions have come from my naturopath or just experts that have been just like you, Shazia. I got fed up. I wasn't getting the answers. So I did it myself and went out and found the answers. And of course, we have to be careful with that too, because there's a lot of different perspectives on things. But yeah, no, I think it's incredible how much our bodies are changing, but it's equally incredible that we can do something about it and we don't have to be that victim in menopause. There's solutions to these.
Yeah, once we know what's happening, once we
Mhm.
recognize these things, the next step is figuring out how to feel like we're back in control of our bodies. So, Shazia, where do we start with that?
I think the first thing is reframe the narrative. Women's bodily functions have always been a taboo subject for some reason in history. So, just being okay with it and just, like understanding that your body is changing. Your body is not betraying you. Your body is evolving. And it's just a new phase. When in puberty, when our hormones first come in, we become relational beings. So we start being about caring for other people and becoming reproductive, getting ready to have children. And then, we live our life with these hormones. And then when these hormones start going away, we sort of start coming back to ourselves and returning to who we are, finding our own voice, um, you know, standing up for ourselves. There's this Instagram lady, she's so hilarious, and she calls her Instagram the We Do Not Care Club. And it's all these things that now all these women in menopause are saying, we just don't care anymore
It's so
about
true.
things, right? Because you start finding your voice and all the people pleasing and all the things you've tolerated all these years, you just don't want to do it anymore.
No.
And so just reframing that narrative that no, my feelings are valid, my symptoms are valid, I am changing. Become a partner with your body. Start listening to your body. Like, how many times do we just push through? Right? We just act like everything's fine. We push through. We don't listen to our body if we need rest and, if we need recovery, we just go on and on and on. And we've done that our whole lives. We've looked after everyone else. And now it's time to look after ourselves, listen to our bodies, become a partner and supporter of like your own body. Nourish it because you want to nourish it, move it because you want to be healthy and have vitality, not do exercise because you want to punish your body because you're putting on weight, do it because you want to be healthy and strong for the rest of your life. And then look at not what's not working in your life anymore, relationships and friendships, and start editing things that are just not working that you've been tolerating all these years, and start advocating for yourself. Start a mind-body connection. So doing things like meditation, journaling, yoga, walking in nature, become a partner with your body, listen to your intuition, and give your body what it needs because you love it. Start falling in love with your body.
Yes, there it is.
Yep. I love that. And going along with that, I'm a nutrition coach, so I help women with their nutrition. And in February, I led a group of women taught them about nutrition. We talked about macronutrients, and a lot of them had no idea how much protein to eat. So we increased everybody's protein, we increased fiber, and um, some of the women weren't even eating breakfast. And so, introducing breakfast into their routines and real food, fiber, things that actually nourish the body. And a lot of them had quite the transformation. And I think going along with what you were saying, taking care of everybody else, we're not paying attention to how our body's feeling when we feed it. And then now that we have a little more time to think about how is my body reacting to this food, we can notice that when we're eating more protein, eating more real food, that our energy increases, we have our mood is better, and our cravings aren't so bad. We don't have those afternoon crashes, and it really does help to do those things. And then spreading your meals out throughout the day. So not skipping breakfast, but starting your day with protein and fiber and having regular meals throughout the day. Those things can go a really long way.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Now, from a training perspective, it's not being afraid to lift heavier weights. I understand that some people here, they're just the listeners, walking is a challenge, and I fully recommend starting with walking, absolutely. But if you can start to incorporate resistance training on some level, and even if it's starting with bands, the stronger your muscles are, the more you can lift. And I'm not saying to do this on your own, and I don't want anybody listening to hurt themselves. But my training shifted when I started menopause, and I have noticed such a difference. And the three biggest things that I have done is lifting heavier, doing less reps, heavier weight. My workouts are not as long. I'm more efficient and effective than doing them as long. So many people think that they have to work out for an hour and a half or even that hour mark. You don't have to even work out for an hour to have efficient exercise routines in your day. And of course, more water, that is critical. So doing those three things for me that I focus on changing in this stage of my life, I've noticed some big change, some big differences for the better. And I really recommend doing that. I do want to say it's obviously consult your doctor before you start any exercise routine, but don't be afraid, ladies, to start lifting heavier. You don't have the genetics to look like a man. You won't look like a man. You will, however, reap the benefits of so much more. You just feeling stronger alone is incredible. And just to add on there, food, nutrition is critical during these times too, because if you're lifting heavier, you're doing more, it's very important that you nourish your body and you have enough protein in there. And the last one, I just made a note here for myself, don't want to forget, is remember, the more muscle mass you have, the better your bone density is. And we also know that in menopause, our bone density, this is the time when that starts to happen. So you can stop that. You can't gain back your bone density, but you can stop it from losing more. And that is combated directly and taken control of simply by what you're lifting at no, more than that, but what you're doing at the gym definitely helps.
Yeah. Part of regaining control isn't just about what we do, but how we think about this season of life. Mindset really does shape the way we experience menopause. So let's dig into that next. Shazia, how important is mindset when navigating menopause?
I think it's the most important aspect, actually. Do you know that in cultures where, as women get older and become menopausal, and they're considered sort of the wise elders, and their role changes in society, they actually report less menopause symptoms. So in Japan, the word for menopause is konenki, and that means renewal for the seasons. So they actually think about menopause as renewal, as like a new energy for the seasons. And their older women are considered, wise and respected and useful members of society. Whereas in our society, women are always trying to hide their aging. The Botox and anti-aging industry is booming because nobody wants to look old because women think, oh, we're going to be cast aside. We're not going to be, as, useful in the society. So if it was only about hormones, it would be homogenous, right, across the cultures, but it isn't. So that means there's a huge component about like how you view menopause. And I mean, and I think, through our lives, we collect so much stuff, right? Like we come to menopause with like these bags of things that we hold on so tight. It's like, no, that's my trauma, and that's my, like issues and problems and betrayals and rejections. And like we're holding on so tight for all this stuff. And
Yeah.
what if we think about menopause like a portal or a doorway, that once we go through that, we just leave all that stuff behind? And, that's what's happened with me. Like, and especially this technique that I'm a facilitator of called RIM. It's regenerating images in memory, and it really helps you just shed a lot of those pain and, trauma and issues that you've carried with you throughout your life. And once you get rid of that trauma, because our body actually stores a lot of trauma. And what happens is that trauma is what eventually turns into disease. So
Mm.
if you are, seeking ways to get rid of that trauma, and you do these techniques like RIM, which helps you just regenerate all those painful memories and get rid of all that stuff, it actually frees your body. And I feel like we're like onions, something might happen to us at age 5, and that's one layer, and somebody might bully us at age 10, and that's another layer. And we just collect all these layers of things, and they block our joy. And, if we start doing these techniques and therapy and all these things, slowly it gets rid of these layers and it lets our joy flow. And I have found that, like, out of all the things I've ever done, RIM has been the most powerful and effective way to get rid of all this trauma. And I feel so free, and I've never felt this free before. So, like changing your mindset and actually seeking therapies to become better at handling your life and become stronger, and change your mindset, and just think about this era as being like the best chapter of your life, and just leaving all that stuff behind that you don't need anymore. It doesn't serve you anymore. So I think that's a really important part of getting through this next chapter and thriving instead of just dealing with it, actually thriving through this chapter. It's possible.
Yeah, I love that.
That's good.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about stress lately, and as women, we can be so hard on ourselves. I talk a lot about the inner critic, that voice that we all have in our head that um, we criticize ourselves, we say bad things about ourselves, and it can cause the stress, and it actually makes the symptoms of menopause worse. And um, that stress that we create, it raises the cortisol in our bodies, which is the stress hormone, and that can mess up our sleep. It can change our how our body stores fat, and so much more. So I think it's really important to learn how to leave those things behind, like you said. um, I use things like affirmations, breathing techniques, and I love journaling. And it's amazing how much of that can come out when you're just journaling things that you didn't know were tucked away in there. And those things actually rewire the way we respond, and it helps us feel more peace in the ups and downs.
For
That
sure.
is so true. If anybody is listening and you have not picked up a journal for yourself, just try it.
Mhm.
Five 5 minutes start in the mornings, just what you're grateful for, and just see the pen will just start flowing. Because like we've said before, Christy, you can't have an anxious brain while simultaneously being grateful. And
Mhm.
if stress is an external stimulus, or sorry, is an internal stimulus, not an external stimulus, stress we create in our heads, we create them. And that's why RIM works so well, Shazia, because you teach people that the external stimulus that we deal with in life should not dictate how we're dealing with it internally. And when you learn that skill, it is life changing. That skill of letting it go, realizing that, the power you have comes from within, and start getting that out on paper, it it's life changing. And I know that I'm a broken record from it, but I'm a broken record about journaling because it's been one thing that has changed my world. Yeah, I've always been, as a kid, I was big on writing in my journal, my diary, and that sort of thing. Really funny to read back at. I'm sure that's another reason how much fun it'll be to read back in 10 years. But, I've always been one that liked to write things down. But when I got serious about it and intentional about it, we talked about the ritual versus routine. Ritual is an intentional thing that you do. Be intentional with your time to get your thoughts out. Because a lot of the times when you see your thoughts on paper, that's when you can realize and validate them. Are these real? Am I lying to myself? What am I doing? And you can actually process them so much better. And that's another reason I tell my clients to do breath work and journal right before your workout. Bring that intentional mindset to your workouts, to everything that you do, and watch it just take off so much better. And I don't think I can confidently say, I don't think I can, and I can confidently say, kind of contradicted itself there, but I can confidently say that the act of journaling has changed my world. And I hope that our listeners take that tip if they take anything from it.
Yeah, so good.
Mhm.
And mindset and movement go hand in hand. So let's talk about how fitness routines should evolve during this season of life. Shazia, should women change their fitness routines during menopause?
Yes, they should definitely. We have to take care of our muscle mass, to protect our muscle mass. So more strength training, walking, um, aerobic exercise. People now they're understanding how much estrogen is a neuroprotective hormone. So our brain really suffers with lack of estrogen. And what they found is that more women are affected by dementia and Alzheimer's because of this, lack of estrogen. So even something like 150 minutes of aerobic exercise where you bring your heart rate up to 65% of its maximum rate, if you do that a week, so 150 minutes of aerobic exercise actually helps your brain and has been shown research to help, decrease your risk of dementia, which is amazing, And when I read that, I was like, okay, well, I'm doing it then because I don't want dementia. I've seen how dementia and Alzheimer's is so difficult on your children. So
Mhm.
my why now is, well, I don't want to do that to my children. So if I can do that, and whatever works for you, if it's, biking, jogging, swimming, whatever aerobic exercise you enjoy, do that and do 150 minutes of that a week. Even just 20 minutes of high impact is really good. Just it gets your blood flowing to your brain. And so, keeping your brain healthy is really, really important. Strength training, obviously, Nichole, you know so much about that. Maintaining our muscle mass, maintaining our bone strength. If you fall and break your hip as you get older, your mortality increases exponentially. So keeping yourself flexible through yoga, stretching, maintaining your muscle mass is so important to prevent fractures, to prevent falls, to prevent breaks. I learned something from Dr. Vonda Wright that every time you brush your teeth, balance. So put one leg up and, brush your teeth for a minute, put 30 seconds, put the other leg up. So I started doing that because balance is so important to prevent falls as you get older. So these little things that you can incorporate in your daily life, you have to brush your teeth anyway, just balance while you're brushing your teeth. And so, and do exercises that you enjoy. If you enjoy swimming, learn pickleball. Pickleball is so much fun. Do things that you enjoy and don't think of exercise as a chore. Think of it as a way to enjoy your life as you get older. So you're not, dependent on other people. You're not stuck at home. You can travel, you can, do things as you get older and you stay vital and you stay active. And, think of it as an insurance policy for the future because what you do now matters. And if you look at your mother's health, that's a good indication of how you will age. So if she's healthy, great, learn from her. If she's not, there's a good chance that you are going to end up like that unless you change what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's so good. My mom's 92. She just had her birthday this week, and she's had in the last year and a half both of her knees replaced. And I know she wouldn't have been able to do that had she not already been strong. Granted, she's lost a lot of her muscle mass. She had a stroke some years ago, which kind of affected that. But she was a strong woman, and I don't think she would have been able to have those knee replacements had she not already been strong. And I've seen in the last 3 years how pairing resistance training with eating more protein has changed my body, where I used to have trouble keeping fat off in certain parts of my body. I've been able to keep that more stabilized, having gained muscle and lose, I've lost fat and replaced it with muscle. So those things can make a huge difference long term. And like Nichole was saying earlier, these workouts don't have to take all day. They don't have to be super long. They can be short and intentional and be really effective. And we don't need to run ourselves in the ground trying to keep our bodies in shape.
So true. I want to add on, Shazia, I don't disagree with anything that you said. You were bang, well, neither one of you. You were bang on there. The add-on that I want to do is if you are doing any sort of high impact or any cardio, be mindful of the recovery that's needed from that. So one thing that I have changed in my fitness since I've been in menopausal years is the intensity of my workouts. And when I have an more intense workout, so a lot more high impact, using what's called my anaerobic system, so not using your aerobic where it's not as intense, steady state of oxygen you have because you're breathing. Whereas when you do something more high intensity, you're using what's called your anaerobic system, but your body does need to recover from that longer, and it takes longer, up to 48 hours. So you do want to be mindful in this time in our life that that we are recovering enough from it. I am not saying to don't do anaerobic because high impact, and they even say rebounding, so jumping, trampolines, any sort of impact is incredibly good to strengthen your bones. And they did studies, and I should probably have these studies in front of me before I start going off, so everyone do your own research too. But there has been studies done that show women that bounce up and down, that jump just a little bit, not crazy, have stronger bone density and keep their bone density. So that's super interesting. And there was also another study that the stronger your legs are, your quads are, the longer you live. So the muscle mass in your legs dictate how long you live for. Well, that makes sense. The stronger your base of support is, the stronger your foundation are, your legs, less falls you're going to have, less, and like as you just said, Shazia, as soon as you break a hip, your life expectancy goes down, and that's because of that foundation of strength in your body. So this time in our lives is so important. If you haven't started thinking about exercising and moving your body, this is the time to start, because it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be intense. It can be something, as you both of you said, simple walks out in the sun, out in the nature. Making sure, being more intentional with your workouts, but being more aware of the recovery required from that specific workout. I'm working more on my strength. I'm lifting heavier. I am more mindful that I don't want to work the same muscle groups too many days in a row, because I want to give my body the time it's going to need to recover from that workout session that I did. So just being more intentional is really the secret sauce to getting through with your fitness in this time of your life.
That's good.
Yeah, excellent.
So we've covered mindset and we've covered movement. Now let's dig into what we put into our bodies, because nutrition plays a huge role in how we feel through menopause. So, Shazia, what nutrition habits support women in menopause?
Well, one of the things that can happen with menopause and, the lack of estrogen is that your food intolerances can change, your gut microbiome can change, and you can start, getting sensitivities to food that you never had before. Alcohol can really affect your body in a much worse way than before menopause. Caffeine, a lot of menopausal women have sleep issues. So limiting your caffeine, it can, help with sleep issues as well. And so I think keeping a food journal is really important, because it can show you which foods are now affecting you negatively, where you're getting more bloating and even constipation, things like that. So, just sort of changing your needs, your nutrition needs with what your body is telling you. Obviously, protein is huge. We do, our protein needs increase. So good sources of protein, lean meats, uh, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, beans, legumes. A Mediterranean diet has been shown to really support menopausal symptoms. So nuts, seeds, fish, olives, olive oil, coconut oil, good fats, because with menopause and with the lack of estrogen, our skin gets drier and our tissues and everything gets, dehydrated. So putting in good fats is very important, good oils, healthy fats, and, eating in, like you were saying, like having a healthy breakfast with good proteins, having colorful fruits and vegetables that put in the vitamins and minerals our body needs. And then, there are certain supplements, like obviously, talk to your doctor, but there are a lot of supplements that have been shown to be very beneficial. Magnesium is one. Most women are deficient in magnesium. vitamin D, get all these levels checked with your doctor. But turmeric is really good because it's anti-inflammatory, and as estrogen decreases, inflammation increases. So turmeric is really good. And collagen, because our bones and joints and skin loses collagen as we get older. So collagen supplements. So, I mean, obviously, get everything checked, but these are the sort of things that you can supplement good nutrition with, and have more antioxidants. Green tea is really good. Pomegranate juice actually has been shown to help with brain health. So, pomegranate juice is a great supplement to have, to supplement your diet. And just whole foods, just general, like stay away from the processed foods. Like before it was bad, before menopause, but after menopause, your body just says, no, I don't want this anymore. You can't feed me this bad stuff anymore. I'm just not going to tolerate it. So, yeah. Um, and Christy, you're the expert. So,
Well, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. And, just whole foods, like that's something that I have been focusing on recently of what whole foods can I grab to eat over, processed foods. So for example, if maybe you have a snack of cheese and crackers in the afternoon, see how it feels if you change that out for fruit and nuts. Because it's basically the same, you're having carbs and fat with your cheese and crackers and carbs and fat with fruit and nuts, and just see the difference that how your body responds. Whole foods not only give us fiber, but they give us those micronutrients which support our cell health. And if our cells are healthy, we're going to feel better. We're going to have less disease. Um, so yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And the protein, I think in every episode I say eat more protein. But it
We
really
do.
does. It supports your muscle repair, especially if you're lifting heavy. When you lift, you damage your muscles and it needs that protein to repair. And it helps with your blood sugar and satiety, and it does so many great things. So I wholeheartedly agree. Nichole, what do you have to add?
The only thing that I would want to add, because I agree with both of you, is the timing, and you touched it a little bit. Some people's bodies and most people in menopause cannot skip meals anymore. This is just something that your body is not happy to do. I do know that some people's bodies respond better to intermittent fasting than others people. So know your body. This is the importance of working with an expert on what is best for you, but being mindful of what you're eating. Let's say, for example, of course, when you're working out, pre-workout, you want a good, healthy carb. You need the energy. You don't want your body eating its muscles for energy because you haven't done a good job at making sure that you've nourished your body to prepare for that workout. So nourishing your body with healthy carbs, and then post-workout, what are you eating? Protein should be involved in that. And again, another healthy carb, just a little bit. But if you're going to have to pick, protein more important for after, healthy carbs before. I follow this one girl, and I love her recipes. She's this young girl that's put together kick-ass recipes, she calls them. She's so entertaining, I have to say. Check her out if you haven't. But she's got a ton of amazing recipes that are post-workout, pre-workout. She has them all categorized, and I fully recommend just taking the time to find out what you enjoy, what you like, so what you're most likely to grab before, because nourishing your body during these times, especially around your workouts, will make or break your health and how you respond during this time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So we've talked a lot of strategy today, but a woman also needs support. So let's close with encouragement for women who might feel overwhelmed or even embarrassed about what they're going through. What's the first step for women who feel overwhelmed or embarrassed by this topic of menopause?
Yeah, I think just start giving yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. It's, the first step of self advocacy is just self-compassion, and be a partner with your body. Your body, you are your body. Your body is not your enemy. You know, become a partner with your body and start speaking up for yourself. Um, you don't have to suffer in silence. Talk to your healthcare provider, talk to your friends, talk to people, get curious, advocate for yourself. If your doctor dismisses your symptoms, just say, please refer me to someone else who knows or is a specialist in menopause, because it's not just all in my head. And Dr. Gabor Mate says that women are the shock absorbers of society. And that makes so much sense. We just absorb everything and we push through, and we push through in silence. And I think the time is just to stop doing that and stand up for ourselves, speak up for ourselves. Um, and there are a lot of podcasts and doctors speaking up about it. There's so much you can educate yourself. You can go to your doctor with a list of questions, with a list of things that you heard from other menopausal specialists. There's so many options now for women. There's hormone replacement therapy. If that is something that your doctor doesn't advocate for, like, go to another specialist and see if that's something that could help. There's so many things that are there in the realm now that weren't available to our moms and our grandmothers. And it's not a taboo subject anymore. It's becoming less of a stigma to admit that you are in menopause and admit your age. And even workplaces now are actually talking about it. And so I think it's becoming more acceptable in society to be a menopausal woman, which is great. Also, I think you should talk to your partner and your family members, because a lot of partners are just confused. They're like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're different. You're not the same as you were. You're not. So
Yeah.
talk to them about what's happening. Say that, I am going through this, and, to give you grace if you need space, to, if you have mood swings, to just understand and be more understanding about it. And, explain to them, like, what's happening. Sometimes you might not be yourself, and just to give you that little bit of grace. I think we need to stand up for ourselves, speak for, up for ourselves. And I think a lot of women, we do it to ourselves. It's our expectations of ourselves that we have to live up to. We want to be, the superwoman, right? Like, we want to do everything for everyone else. And it's really hard for us to accept help. But, in this phase of life, it's okay to accept help. I, I like, one of the things I hate, like, I'm in Canada and Toronto, and I hate putting in gas in my car in winter. I'm always like, no, it's so cold and I have to get out of the car. And I said to my husband recently, like last year, I'm like, can you just put gas in my car on the weekend? And he's like, sure. So Sunday, he'll just go put gas in my car. And then I'm so happy all week because I don't have to put gas in my car. And I'm like, just a little thing, but I just asked for what I needed. And it wasn't even a big deal. And all these years, I've been married for 32 years, I've been complaining about putting gas in my car. So, just sort of speaking up and saying, yeah, this is just something that I need. Would you do it for me? And most of the time they say yes. And it's
Mhm.
just that we take on so many things on ourselves. And you know, what if we just start speaking our truth and just being our authentic selves now that we've never been before?
Yeah.
This world would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Get rid of that fear that we're going to be judged or criticized or
Yeah.
shamed for being who we are. I love that. Um, one thing that came up when you said that is that's a good place for the journaling to help you. Like if you don't know, you might not know what you need because you're not used to asking for what you need. And so sitting down and journaling and just asking yourself, what are the things that are bothering me right now? How can someone else help me? That's that's a way to put that journaling to use. But otherwise, I guess kind of the last thing I would say is just pick one small thing you can change today. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. Just take one step towards that peace that you're craving.
I think that on any menopause commercial or any information or anything should have this beautiful butterfly. Because, ladies, we are transforming, we are leveling up, we are becoming the self, the person that we've daydreamed about because we've spent all these decades taking care of all these people. And we're finally at a time in our lives where we can level up. We can take all the wisdom we have, all the things that we've learned. Our bodies are changing fine, but we're learning now that there's small things we can do to become even better. This is a time in our lives that it's exciting. It can be about us finally. And I'm not saying to become a selfish individual, because no, it's all about what you give back to this world. But just change the perspective in that. Get excited about it. Make fun of it sometimes. On those days where you know you are not yourself, I will phone my best friend and be like, hey, this is the ridiculous thought. Let's laugh about it. And those are the things that you need to start doing to bring light to it. We want joy in our lives. We want happiness in our life. That's the things that you can do to just make it better. And Shazia, I have to just add on to that about the gas and getting it filled up. I was just talking to my husband about this today. Why are we so scared to ask for help? I will say that, it's not like I live in a household with anybody in this house that would not help me if I said, hey, can you do this? But I'm scared to ask sometimes, and it takes 2 seconds. But no, it's way better to just have it ruminate in your head, and all of a sudden all these things that bother you, and then the next thing you know, you have all this resentment when really the person just would have done that one small thing for you. But we do it. So taking the time to be like, you know what, I am going to embrace this time in my life because I'm leveling up. I know what I want. I'm going to go after what I want. And here's the cool thing, we have the tools to do it. Shazia, you said it too, like podcasts, all this information at our fingertips, the support at our fingertips. Like, how many groups are on Facebook? You can go onto Facebook and be like, woman in menopause need help. All of a sudden you have 50 friends that you've joined this group that are cheering you on. These are the resources we have. And ladies, we got this. We can do this together and make this a better place. So Shazia, thank you so much for all that information. How do people get a hold of you, my friend?
So I'm on all the socials. Shine from Within Coaching is my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. My name, Shazia Warsi. I'm on LinkedIn as Shazia Warsi, and my website is www.shaziawarsi.com. So yeah, reach out to me if you'd like to schedule a coaching session, a RIM session. A RIM session is fantastic. It's like a psychedelic journey without the psychedelic drugs. So much fun.
Yay.
And painlessly just get rid of so many things in your life. So it's amazing. I'm really passionate about RIM. But yeah, I'd love to, help women and teach them the tools that I've learned, because I really feel that the best years are ahead of you.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's the attitude we need. I love it. Thank you so much. So if anybody has taken anything away from today, I want you to know this. Menopause is not the end of your strength on your vitality. It's the new start of a new chapter. And with the right mindset and approach to movement, you can feel stronger, more capable, and more at home in your body than ever before.
And when you pair that with nourishing your body well and giving yourself grace through the process, this season can become a powerful comeback. You're not broken. You're stepping into a chapter that can be full of growth, confidence, and possibility. Thank you for listening to the comeback season. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us on the comeback season. Please remember, the conversations we share here are for informational and motivational purposes only. We are not licensed medical professionals, and this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or replace guidance from your doctor or your healthcare provider. Always consult your healthcare team before making changes to your nutrition, your fitness, or your mental health routines. Your health and well-being comes first, and we want you to move forward safely with the right support for your journey.